I never really considered the fact that purchasing redundant items might be considered a luxury, especially if those items that are redundant are incredibly affordable. For example, a G-Shock is $40, an MP3 player is $25, a Kindle is $100 or $80, an SM57 is $100. Yet all of those items are essentially redundant because all the tasks they perform are done by your phone. Your phone has a watch, it has a clock, it has an e-reader, it has MP3 music playback, it has audible playback, it has a microphone in it, it has a camera in it. So that is a very interesting take. I understand the argument completely. I spent a ton of money on my phone. It is very effective at a lot of things. It does have the camera, it has a microphone, it has podcast playback, it has e-reader functionality, it has audible audiobook playback, music playback, streaming, video, movies, TV, pretty much anything and everything that I need is handled by my phone. So I technically do not need to have a Kindle. I do not need an MP3 player. I don't even need headphones because the phone has speakers. I don't need physical books. I don't need a wristwatch. I don't need any of it. So in this thought process, or in this thought experiment, or I guess in this paradigm that you're setting up, yes, all of these items would be luxury. But at the same time, the reason I'm going to push back on you a little bit is, what is the most valuable commodity that each of us have? Our time. So if these single-purpose items allow me to waste less of my time and be more focused on what is important to me, then I don't necessarily view them as a luxury, especially considering they are relatively affordable. As I mentioned, a G-Shock is $40 to $50, an MP3 player is $25 to $30, a Kindle is $100, something like that. Now, if these items were made of solid gold, if this MP3 player wasn't $25, but it was $2,500, I would be much more obliged to agree with you completely. But being that it is relatively affordable, in many cases less than 1 hour's wage to acquire this, and it allows me to be more focused, waste less of my time, have more free time to focus on what I want to, have far less distractions, I think that is insanely valuable, and I guess maybe still a luxury, but a worthwhile luxury, and not an extravagant luxury. Also, maybe I'm taking this too far and being a bit extreme here, but I think this mindset could very easily lead to you living an insanely austere life. Thinking through it for myself, it would pretty much lead to me having an empty home. And on one hand, that is super duper appealing because I am drowning in microphones and they are a burden to me. But on the other hand, I live a pretty monastic life as it is. And living a more monastic life, a more austere life where you already don't go out to eat, you don't buy any fancy foods or anything. Yeah, that would be pretty wild. But yeah, as I mentioned, the phone has a camera and a microphone, so I would be getting rid of my DSLRs. I'd be getting rid of all of my microphones. There is daylight outdoors. There are windows that are blocked, so I'd be getting rid of my lights. You can edit on your phone, video and audio. So no need for a computer. You can upload all of that content directly to your phone. So again, no need for a computer. You can use the speakers in the phone or cheap earbuds that come with the phone. If your phone has a headphone jack, something like that, you don't need fancy headphones. You can access books, music, movies, TV, all at the library. And a lot of them have online services, so you're not having any physical media, physical books, physical CDs, anything like that. No need for a wristwatch because there's a time on your phone You have note-taking apps on your phone, so get rid of your paper, your pens, your pencils. No need for any of that. So on one hand, it's amazing how much technology, how many tasks these smartphones are capable of accomplishing effectively. But at the same time, with all of that function at your fingertips, it is so easy to become distracted by these things, and that is what appeals to me about these single-use items. I made a video, a podcast episode, years ago at this point, I think, talking about this. And just a side note, Denki, Denki, recently made a video talking about this exact topic, why he replaced his phone with an iPod. And he was talking about replacing smartphones, which are so distracting, with single-use items so that he can appreciate what he's doing a lot more. So although I understand your argument about redundant items being luxuries, I think that if they allow us to be more focused and waste less time, they may be luxuries, but I think they are worthwhile luxuries, and in many cases, they are not extravagant luxuries. If we're talking about fancy watches, yes, I agree 100% it's a luxury item. If we're talking about some kind of $10,000 microphone that you use for a podcast and nobody notices, yeah, that's a luxury. Using a U87 on a podcast, that's a luxury. I admit that. Using a $1,000 audio player DAP, yeah, that's a luxury. But I just have a hard time squaring a $25 MP3 player as a luxury item. But I understand the argument. And I think a lot of the time, if these luxuries allow us to be more effective with our time, more efficient with our time, waste less of our time, and be more focused, I think they are totally worthwhile. But thank you very much for that comment. I loved that pushback, and I loved having to think through this and try to understand my position a bit better. I think you may have won the debate. This wasn't a debate. I'm not some kind of debate bro. I don't have the mind capacity, proven by the fact that I just said mind capacity. Nobody has ever said that in the history of the world. I don't have the mental fortitude to be a debate bro. But I think, yes, the argument that they are luxuries technically is probably true. Thank you very much, Brad. Appreciate you. Next, we have a comment from Attaboy Brad, and he says, it's a little ironic that your high-value items are also all luxury purchases in terms of being redundant with your phone, and it sounds like used as secondary or tertiary devices within their respective categories, Kindle and watch at least. To be clear, I don't disagree that they can also be high value and would never begrudge investment in the exact right tool for a particular job, but I think you'll appreciate the tension between the frugal and ascetic impulses in this case. Brad, thank you very much for the comment. This is such an interesting take, and I had a lot of fun thinking through this.